Good morning, everyone. It's Miss House again. I'm back with another read aloud to do with you guys today. And this is a really sweet and special one because it connects to our new science unit. So, some of you guys yesterday watched Miss Minjoni's new science video, and it's all about how we're going to be learning about planting and growing, okay? So that's our new science topic is planting and growing, and I wanted to show you guys this book that Miss House has. It's called We Are the Gardeners, okay? So this book is written by Joanna Gaines and kids. So Chip and Joanna Gaines, Miss House loves the show Fixer Upper, loves the show Fixer Upper, and they are the couple that does that show. So they fix houses that some people think might be broken or they're no good anymore, and they take the houses and they fix them up and make them beautiful again. Which I love, and I like some of the little do-it-yourself projects that they do, and Miss House tries to make her house look like theirs because it's just so beautiful, okay? But they wrote, Joanna, the mom, and her kids wrote a book called We Are the Gardeners, okay? So I will get started reading this. We Are the Gardeners. I'll read sometimes the books have a dedication, so they're dedicated to someone, so the author wrote the book with someone in mind or for someone or wanted to thank them for something special that they've done. So it says, to our dad, you have taught us that we can do hard things and to never give up even when we fail. And I love that. We Are the Gardeners. That's a pretty official title, but we didn't start out that way. Just like our garden, we started small and grew from there. Some say that our garden just grows from seeds, but we think it grows from trying and failing and trying again. A garden is hard work, but so is most of the good, important stuff in life. Our family's garden story began with one small potted fern. Dad stumbled upon it at the hardware store when he ran in for some supplies. He said it was just too cute to leave behind, and he thought it would make Mom smile. And it did. So the fern is this type of plant right here. We chose a sunny windowsill for that pretty little fern. It seemed like a good, safe spot for him to grow. This was back when we were little kids, but we still remember visiting the plant each day to give him a drink, and sometimes we'd even whisper to him a bit. And then, plot twist, out of nowhere, our fern died. Death by overhydration. That means they watered it too much. That's just a fancy way of saying that we gave him way too much water. Looking back, each one of us must have watered him every day. That's a lot of drinks for a little plant. By mistake, we loved that little plant to death. Some people tell themselves that they are no good at something after one small failure. But no chance we were going to give up that easily. So we checked out some books from the library, and we found out that ferns can be tricky and prefer to live in a shady spot. Apparently, a plant's leaves can communicate to us what they're needing. We also learned that most plants have good manners and like to sip, not gulp. Lesson learned. Dad got us a fresh fern, and with it came fresh hope. This time, we set the pot on our piano way on the other side of the room, where the sun wouldn't give him so much attention. We made a watering schedule and took turns saying a lot of nice things to our little sprout of a plant. And fern number 2 lived and thrived and grew, and finally, Mom got him a little potted friend. And then another, and then 1 or 2 more. We noticed that talking to our plants actually helped them grow bigger and stronger, so we added some songs and jokes into the mix. Unlike when we were overwatered, 0 plants died from us talking too much. Pretty soon, plants were taking over the house, and Dad said it was time to graduate to outdoor gardening. You guys see all the plants that they have growing? It's beautiful. Mom was as excited about the new outdoor garden as we were, and she started talking about it with a dreamy look in her eyes. That's when Dad called a family meeting so we could come up with a real plan. There's Joanna with a dreamy look. What do you think? What are some of the things that you think she's dreaming about? What do you see? We all gathered around the kitchen table and got to work dreaming, planning, and drawing things out. We knew we needed a sunny spot, a place where the plants could sunbathe for at least 6 hours a day. We'd be red as radishes if we did that, but plants love it. And more than that, they need it. In the garden, there is no life without light. So they drew a map of where they wanted this. So they wrote notes: full sun, good soil, and water. There's the water, the shed, the chickens, and they mapped out where they wanted each thing to go. Okay, so the pumpkins, tomatoes, broccoli, peas, cabbage, carrots, radishes, corn, some flowers, tomato, looks like apples maybe. Dad always says that the foundation is the most important thing when it comes to building a house. A house can't be strong if it's built on something weak, and the same holds true in the garden. So to make the foundation of our garden strong, we filled it with something called soil. Good soil, which includes a bunch of tiny living things called organisms, can grow things in it. That's pretty amazing when you stop and think about it. A whole hidden world of life is happening beneath our feet. Just because you can't see the good things with your eyes doesn't mean they're not there. And another cool thing about soil is that it feeds and strengthens the seeds that we sow. And then, like a miracle, plants and flowers burst out of the ground. We also knew we needed our garden to get plenty of water. Rain is the very best thing for plants to drink, but it's hard to know when and if rain is coming. So a couple of options to keep plants hydrated are to collect rainwater or use a sprinkler or garden hose to get the job done. Once we had a location with plenty of sun, good soil, and a watering plan, we got right to work. First things first, seeds. The most fun part of planning out our garden was deciding what to plant. We started with the foods that we like to eat, like strawberries and tomatoes, and then chose some pretty flowers to keep them company. The thing about seeds is that they're everyday miracles. Everything a plant will grow up to be is already hidden inside that seed. We chose flowers like zinnias, sunflowers, and cosmos that pollinators would visit our garden. So the bees are the pollinators. Butterflies, hummingbirds, and bees spread pollen around from flower to flower, encouraging even more things to bloom. We like knowing that the little helpers are out there in nature working with us to help the garden grow. The bees must have put the word out that they had a pretty good thing going, because sure enough, all sorts of other critters started to arrive. We quickly found out that there were 3 types of bugs in our backyard: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the worst part. It was a pretty sad day when the aphids, pronounced aphids, arrived. They are some of the more well-known villains in the gardening world. They suck the life right out of plants. But then the ladybugs showed up to eat those pesky aphids for lunch. Ladybugs are for sure part of the hero camp, bravely protecting our plant friends from harm. And we've got to tell you something about earthworms. They're like the secret agents of the garden. Earthworms eat all the dead things like old roots and leaves and turn them into life for the soil. Every time we found one, we would all high-five and celebrate. They aren't pretty, but who cares? They're awesome, and we love seeing them hard at work. We realized pretty quickly that we needed to keep the weeds out. They are the true bullies of the garden. Weeds try to steal water, sunlight, and nutrients from our fruits and vegetables, and it's our job to make sure that those little rascals don't take over. If we ignore the garden for too long, the weeds run wild and hurt our beloved plants. It's so much easier to do just a little bit every day. It's a good lesson. We were officially gardeners and had a real-life garden to prove it. That garden became our pride and joy. Day in and day out, we tended to our plants, making sure that they got plenty of sun and water. Every time a new plant sprouted up from the ground, our excitement grew right along with it. As time passed, our garden grew bigger, and so did our family. When our garden was finally in full bloom and growing tall, we would run through the aisles and watch the butterflies flutter around us. You guys see? They said the garden grew and their family did too. Do you guys see the little baby? That's baby Crew. But one day, as we were mid-skip, we noticed some trespassers helping themselves to lunch. And by lunch, we mean half of the garden. Animals may look cute and innocent, but some have a sneaky side. They can wipe out a garden in no time flat. Uh-oh. The chickens ate the vegetables, the goat ate Mom's roses, and the bunnies weren't picky at all. They ate anything in sight. Saying goodbye to that many happy plants was even harder than throwing away our very first dead fern. We debated if we should just give up. Was it really worth it to start all over again? Then we remembered one very important detail. We are the gardeners. It was our responsibility not only to grow this garden, but also to protect it. So we put up a little fence to keep the animals out and got to work rebuilding our garden. It didn't take long to get our plants and flowers growing tall again. To this day, our very favorite days are when we get to gather the fruits and gather the fruits of our labor. Mom loves to set the table with pretty flowers in every color you can imagine. We help her dream up recipes for the food that we've grown. Sometimes, when we see all of that beauty laid out, we can't believe our hands helped bring it to life, and it makes all of the hard work worth it. It's what keeps us coming back day after day, season after season. We still keep a little fern on the piano to remind us of our small beginnings. Every time we water it, we're reminded not to give up when things don't work out the first time. Because the thing is, whether one potted fern dies or half of the garden is wiped out by little critters, every failure or setback teaches us something. Dad says that every hard thing we choose to do makes us braver for the next time. There are so many lessons waiting to be learned in a whole world of gardening ready to bloom. We are the gardeners, and you can be too. Oh, I love that story. I know it was a long one, so thank you guys for listening, but I just love that story. I think that there's so many life lessons in that book. I think so many life lessons can come from gardening, like the author and the illustrator, were showing us all the life lessons that came from that. But I also think that some of the words in that book can really teach us a life lesson. There were multiple times where I was like, I could stop and start talking about this and this, but I wanted to get through the book for you guys. But maybe it's worth a listen to a second time, and you guys can stop it on your own and talk to your kiddos about some of the things that you heard them say. But I think that the last page is very important when it says, or the second to last page, Dad says that every hard thing that we choose to do makes us braver for the next time. And I think that's amazing and that's perfect. I think there's a lot of times where we're going to have to do hard things and do them because we don't want to give up, right? We do them because we know that there's going to be good that comes from it. But every time we choose to do something that we know is hard, it makes us braver inside. So I know that Buxton Kindergartners, we've talked about bravery as a Positivity Project trait. So being scared and pushing through anyway, or knowing that you can do it even if you're nervous about it or you're scared about it. So I think that's a really sweet book. So I think that was my connection to this story, was just that we've talked about doing hard things and being brave anyway, even when things seem tough or things seem scary. So I think that is mine. But I want my kindergarten friends to, like I said, make sure you're checking your mailbox for something from your teacher. And Miss Minjoni in her science video is going to tell you what to do with a special surprise that you find in there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say for today. I'm going to end this video now, and then I'm going to do my writing video with you guys. So it's Tell Me a Story Tuesday. We'll get started with that, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow for another read aloud. Okay, so I hope you have a great day. Get outside. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Okay, lots of sunshine. It's good for our souls just like it's good for plants. Okay, bye guys.